Oh, random viewer appreciation. Your choice, Preston Petty, Mini Mutter.
Mini Mutter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
next week you'll be live, but the week after you won't. Because I'm having
next week I'll be live. The week after, no. Susie's having surgery.
Right.
And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
And right now I have to start the show. And there might be some other stuff that I might have to tell you about along the.
Okay.
I'm Gary Semnix, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate.
Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. I am your host, Joe Abbate. I am so happy to be here with you this evening. Of course, the amazing and wonderful Susie is with me. Susie, how's everything there?
Good.
Yeah? What do we got going on tonight as far as giveaways or any of that stuff?
So we have a mini
Mutter
fender
from
Preston Petty
right.
products.
Yeah.
They come in white, silver, yellow, and red to come.
That's right. No, red is ready to go, Susie.
No, red is ready.
And you're just doing a viewer appreciation thing, and we're going to give it away randomly.
Yeah.
All right. Keep an eye out for that. And we'll bring that up a little bit later on in the show. If you want to make a contribution to the show, in the show description, you can make it via PayPal. Any amount would be appreciated. I want to thank our regular sponsors every week who have been with us for years now. Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Motion Pro, ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com, Sirius Studios, Vinco, Full Circle Racing, Preston Petty Products, and my dear friend Russell Water at Amsoil. Also, the boots on the ground. These are the guys that make it happen and get the word out every week. Al Keith, Karl Word, Al Huey, Tom Miller, Larry Passman, Jay Stoecker, Kate Geisner, Tyler McGregor, Fred Hudgens, and Derf's Cycle, Sean Gomes, and FastGuyStuff.com, and there's more too, who are all helping the show grow, and they're helping us in a big way. Our latest sponsor, Larry Winter, Sirius Studios, some beautiful off-track gear. Lets people know that you're into the moto scene without having skulls and crossbones and 50,000 colors on your shirt. Thank you, Steve Bauer, and the Big Air Kids Fair. You did a great job with that this year. That happened on January 22nd. Check out Big Air Kids Fair online. You'll know more about this wonderful cause that Steve Bauer started many, many years ago. Moto Fellowship. My friend Steve Wise has a show every Tuesday at 5:30 Central. That's every Tuesday, 5:30 Central. Tune in for some Moto Fellowship. What you'll get there is some really interesting stories about yesteryear in the motocross world and some uplifting spiritual talk from Steve Wise. I got this just a matter of hours ago from Charlie Halcomb. They have asked me to come back again this year to the Northern California Motocross Reunion. It's a bit of a ways off, October 18th, 2025, but look at the list of riders that will be there. David Bailey, Roger DeCoster. Wow. Jeff Fox, Brock Glover, Brad Lackey, Tom Rapp, and so many more. More to be named. I will be your MC that weekend for the De La Vega show that is in Santa Cruz. We went last year and the year before. Wonderful time, and just good food, and there's golf during the day and all sorts of really cool stuff happening throughout that weekend. Thank you, Charlie Halcomb, for having me once again. Susie met you just a little while ago. Preston Petty Products will be giving away a mini Mutter a little bit later on. Our winner last week was, I thought it was Charles Bagley. No, it was Charles. Maybe it was Charles Bagley. The week before it was Kurt Evans, but this is it. This is the last one. They come in yellow, white, silver, and red, and somebody's going to win one tonight in the color of your choice. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. What?
The last one what?
This is the last one we're giving away. We gave them away 3 weeks in a row.
Oh.
Next time you got to go out and pay.
Oh. Wow. They better get on.
You tell them, Susie. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Keep sharing the show. This way we get some viewers over here. We get a couple of more sponsors, and yeah, things will grow. Just how I see it, I'm moving that up into this segment tonight. And just how I see it pertains to the International Motocross Museum. And if you have been online or on Facebook in the past couple of days, you have seen that there was a wonderful announcement and things are moving forward with the International Motocross Museum. Here it is, the floor plan for the International Motocross Museum, over 100,000 square feet that will be filled with the world's greatest collection of motocross bikes that have been being collected by Terry Good for the past 40 years. And I'm going to read to you what Terry wrote that a lot of people may have seen on Facebook. Maybe you didn't. A lot of work has been going on behind the scenes with the IMM architect, Michael Secor. He's come up with what our team thinks is a beautiful plan of inside the IMM. Michael really made the floor plan flow and made maximum use of the space. Keep in mind, this drawing just includes the museum space. Storage and shopper areas are not included. The square footage of this section is listed, and most sections are bigger than a large house. The space is absolutely enormous. We have no doubt that the IM will be a global destination, as well as a main attraction for the Chicagoland area. Finally, the sport of motocross will get a world-class Smithsonian-style museum that is long overdue. I will post this on my personal page. You can share it from there. Stay tuned with more updates. And there you have it. The International Motocross Museum marches on. Did you see the DeCoster display? That's this section right here. I don't know how big you can see it on your screen or not. It's over 12,000 square feet.
Just the costumes.
Just the DeCoster display, 12,000 square feet. A big house is 3,000. A pretty big house is 3,000. 12,000 square feet for the RD display alone. I can assure you that section will be filled up. It'll have to be rotating, I'm sure. I have seen the stuff that Terry has purchased from Roger DeCoster, and it is massive, massive. So stay tuned. The International Motocross Museum, thank you for your contributions. Every penny you donate, every hat and shirt you buy goes toward that cause, okay? So if you want to put in some comments about the International Motocross Museum, or you have some questions along the way, Susie could give them to me a little bit later on the show, and I'll try and answer them as well as I can. The Next Time Try This segment is brought to you by Vinco. We've got something special from a big contributor, Roy Vanderveer. Roy, let's see what he's got this week.
Next time, try this. I'm working on a full floater Suzuki. It's a 1981 RM125. And somebody before me had put this shock in without the proper side spacers. And as a result, they've crushed the top of this rocker in. This is measuring about 22 millimeters. The top of the shock with the proper spacers is just a little bit shy of 25 millimeters. So I need to remedy this. I've made a little spreader out of a piece of all thread and 2 flange nuts. I'm going to set this up in here, snug it up, and then apply a little heat. Get some heat on this so I hopefully don't traumatize the metal any more than it already has been. And then I'm going to work these nuts against each other to try to restore the proper distance in between the halves. So I'll be back later in the show, and let's see how I make out.
All right, now Roy said he would be back later in the show. Now, he made this video, and he did send it in to me, but Roy had a little bit of a problem after he tried to use his procedure there to spread those linkages or the bearing areas of that linkage apart. And Roy sent this. He didn't make another video because he sent this to me. Joe, more true life adventures. If you want, you can expand on the last video sent. Not only did I have to spread the top rocker, but the swing arm had to be compressed the same way. I found this after I shot the video. Here, I reversed the steering stem bearing installation tool and used it to spread the swing arm about 4 millimeters, as it measured 3 millimeters too tight, and the metal was always springing back a bit. This was discovered when I went to install the engine, and there was no way that I could get it in by hand. So the moral of the story is, if things don't fit, stop, measure, make adjustments, and make sure you know the limits and the tolerances before you make mistakes like this. You got to have certain clearances, or the machine suffers at, or the machine probably has suffered at the hands of good intentions, but an inexperienced owner previously. Is this okay? the way to fix this? Well, the answer is the ideal would have been if it had never happened. I prefer to work with bikes that have problems within reason. This one was a little beyond reason. Well, Roy, I want to thank you for making the video, and I think people got the understanding of what was going on there when people force that swing arm nut or other pivots and tighten them up on those linkages, and you have problems like that with binding and a lot of other problems as well. Thank you for making that video, Roy. We've got a really good one coming up next week from Roy as well. It's about how to properly torque your triple clamps when you put the forks in. It's really, really good. We're going to take a break right now, hear from Vinco. We'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
I'm Dave Arnold. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate. We'll be right back.
Vinco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Vinco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The Vinco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Vinco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Vinco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
You spend over $200 at Vinco, you get free priority mail shipping. That's free priority mailing when you spend over $200 at Vinco. That's Vinco.com. Keep the ride going. Thank you, Fred Hudgens at Derf's, for being a supporter, kind of a sponsor of the show. You've been that for a little bit over a year. I think, in fact, you just re-upped your quote-unquote contract for another year. So we're really happy about that. Fred, keep up the great work there at Derf's. The What's It Worth segment is brought to you tonight by, that's right, Full Circle Racing. Full Circle Racing, whether it's on-road, off-road, dual purpose, or vintage, be sure to see Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing. The bike we have tonight is a 1996 Honda CR250. This is, of course, the part of the show where I ask you, the viewers at home, to guess how much you think this bike recently sold for. If you are on the money, or the closest one without going over, you'll get a nice sticker like this, compliments of Susie at Susie Creations. We'll get you a nice vintage motocross Q&A sticker, just like this. Anyway, got a 1996 Honda CR250. I'll go through some of the pictures here, and you give your best guess on what you think this bike recently sold for. 1996 CR250 was purchased in 2024 by the seller, who reports a subsequent refurbishment that included rebuilding the liquid-cooled 250cc single with the 5-speed gearbox, powder coating the steel frame in white, and fitting a Polysport red and white plastic bodywork on the bike. The CR250R shower fork, the 450R shower fork was fitted to this bike, as were the 21 and 19-inch Tusk rims and tires. JT sprockets, rental handlebars and grips, can carburetor and FMF exhaust system, pedal-style brake rotors. The replacement clutch, Weisco crankshaft, bearings are all set to have been fitted, and additional features include a Kickstarter, Pro-Link monoshock rear suspension, and a solo seat upholstered in red and black vinyl. The 250CR is now offered in California for off-road use only, with refurbishments as you see. Replacement of that red and white bodywork was by Polysport. There's also a 2-gallon Clark fuel tank, a black and red seat, and some other number plates that go along with the bike. It also has IMS foot pegs. We mentioned that it does have 21 and 19-inch wheels. It's got Tusk MX T35 tires on it. The seller notes. What does the seller note? It has adjustable suspension that's also been overhauled and tuned for a 165-pound rider. AHM Factory Services in Yorba Linda did the suspension work. It has 47-millimeter shower forks, 2008 from a 2008 450. The front and rear disc brake system are fitted. The pads were replaced. Everything works as it should. It is just one tidy little bike. And when you look at this bike in the pictures, if you can see them closer, or you go on the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page, you will see that the owner did do a beautiful job as a race restoration. Not quite a restoration, certainly a step up from just a regular racer. just the hubs, the brakes, the forks, so much more that went into this bike that would make it really, really competitive as a race bike today. But of course, my question is, how much do you think this bike recently sold for? 2,000? 2,500? Come on, don't be a tightwad. What would you pay for this bike? All refurbished, powder coated, new tires, rebuilt rims, and everything else. What do you got? $5,250. The bike sold for $5,250 in Southern California. I thought it was a great deal. I mean, the engine was rebuilt. The frame is powder coated, FMF pipe. It's got extra parts. It's got a big IMS gas tank, and it's got all this other really cool stuff on it too. Wow. I think that was a smoking deal. Susie, baby, who do we have? Anybody?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Lowballed it. Everybody.
Everybody lowballed it.
Yeah. Yeah. The highest one I had is Philip Liberty at 41.
Philip Liberty at 41?
Yeah, it's like nowhere near.
You know what?
42. Jeff Bailey was 42.
Jeff Bailey at 42?
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Bidding is, or guessing is off. And Jeff Bailey, I'm going to give you a sticker for getting the closest, even though you were a little bit off in the distance. I don't believe I've ever heard your name called on the show before, that you've ever won anything. Is it Jeff Bailey?
Uh-huh.
Jeff Bailey, please get us your mailing address. I'll get you a couple of nice stickers, VMXQ&A stickers, just like this.
Oh, wait.
No. Come on now.
Sorry.
Who was it?
Jay Stoecker said 46.
All right, here's the deal, because I don't want to go back on my word.
Yeah.
Jay Stoecker,
And
Jeff Bailey,
right,
you will both get stickers.
Right.
Send me your mailing addresses, Stoecker and Bailey, and Jeff Stoecker. I know you're a supporter of the show. Jay Stoecker.
Jay Stoecker.
Right, and Jeff Bailey.
Right.
I'm getting names mixed up lately. I'm getting like Ed Sullivan. Used to call anybody's name in the audience. He didn't know who it was. Always get it wrong. All right. Anyway, that is it for 5,200. That was a really, really nice bike too. Let's
your viewers, they're all on me.
like what?
Jay had it. Jay had it.
Oh, that's good. That's good that everybody's watching. And
You're keeping me honest, you guys.
yeah. You know what? We're going to break for a commercial. What here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Share it on your personal page. Share it in all the motocross groups that you belong to. Share it until they throw you out. I've been doing this show for 5 years for nickels and dimes. I post it every week in like 100 different groups. You think you'd have a couple 100, 300 people here? No, we got the same 50, 60, 70 people week after week. Keep sharing it. Tell people to come and watch the show. Big things are going to happen. They're going to happen from Chicago eventually. I'm just going to say that. Okay. Right now, let's take a little bit of a break, Susie, baby. We're going to hear from Full Circle Racing. All right.
Okay.
I get a little flustered sometimes. We're going to hear from Full Circle Racing. Then we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A, including an incredible 1967 Mako that was sent in by Paul Griffin. Wait until you see this bike. We'll be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
I'm Don Kadowski, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't go anywhere.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
Okay, we are back at Vintage Motocross Q&A, and who said what? Jay Stoecker said give the stickers to
Jeff Bailey.
All right, well, we're giving stickers to Jeff Bailey anyway.
And Gay got his poster from
Gig Hagag got his poster from Terry Good. I'm really happy to hear about that. I did promise you that. I did promise you that beautiful Mako. The beautiful Mako that was sent in by Paul Griffin. We are going to get to that in a minute. I just want to make a couple of announcements while I'm going here March 7th through the 9th. The White Lightning, they're having a beautiful race down there in Buffalo, South Carolina that happens at Silverhawk Plantation. Who knew that they still had plantations in the South? They'll probably throw me off Facebook in 5 minutes for that comment. Anyway, they'll be having that, and my buddy Al Roof has a lot to do with it. So get over there. Here's a picture of it again if you want to get online and see exactly what that looks like and what's happening there at the Carolinas White Lightning. I know they've got a motocross. They've got a cross country, probably have some trials things going on as well there in South Carolina. I want to thank my buddy in Modesto, California. Who was that? You guessed it. Mark Farriester at Sunrise Vapor Blasting does a great job for us and has for so many years now. Thank you, Mark Farriester and Sunrise Vapor Blasting. And let's move on to this beautiful Moto Showcase bike that was sent in to us by Paul Griffith. Look at this bike. Paul, I just wish you would have sent me a little bit more information, but you sent me enough because a picture speaks 1,000 words, okay? This is an absolutely incredible motorcycle that Paul has been working on for quite some time. It belonged to his dad, who was known as Mako Mo. This is a 1967 Mako MC360. Now, you've heard the expression square barrel and you've heard the expression radial. Well, if you look closely at this bike, this was before that. This is called a round barrel. How about that? Okay. Here's some more pictures on the bike. Paul did an excellent job on the bright work, or the chrome as they like to call it. The seat has the correct finish on it, the grips, the cables, and so much more. Paul says a long restoration due to the amount of chrome parts not typically on a Mako, but remarkably, this Mako has every bolt it originally came with, minus the rubber zip ties that I am still searching for. I used WUSA to rechrome the stock Italian Rodelli rims and relace them. I got lucky and found the stock Metzler Trials tires one at a time. The paint on the chassis was in great shape, enough to get it professionally color matched. Dead nuts. This is a saying we don't hear quite enough, Paul. Dead nuts. Anyway, if you're interested in seeing this Mako of Mako Mo's, it is in 1967, and you can see it in person. And it will be on display at the Quail Gathering in May and at the Langston Motorsports Show in Paris, California at Langston Motorsports next October. Paul, you did an absolutely phenomenal job on this bike. I have seen several of your Makos in person, whether it was at the Quail or it was at the Langston Motorsports Bike Show. And not only do you put a beautiful bike together, but Paul, I'll tell you, you've got some of the greatest stories ever when it comes to these Makos. And I know you've got a Danny Chandler bike and an Adolf Veal bike and just so many you just seem to have all the Makos, Paul, I'll tell you. But I want to thank you for sending that in. And Paul, if you get me your address, and I may have it, but if you get me your address, I'll get you something, maybe get you some grips from Preston Petty Products or a T-shirt if you'd like one. We'll find something for you here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Paul Griffin, beautiful job. Oh, yeah, we can get you an the Amsoil telescopic magnetic Maglite, which is perfect for tall guys like you. And it'll be good for you when you're dead. All right. Where are we now? You know what we're going to do? I'm going to take a break again because I'm going to take a little break. We're going to hear from the International Motocross Museum. We'll be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A. Okay?
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
The International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Get over there and get yourself some hats, shirts, amazing posters, and so much more from the International Motocross Museum. And every week you hear me say it's a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. What does that mean? It means that it's an organization that does so much more. It's a museum, yes. It's also going to be a learning center for kids, young adults who want to learn more about mechanics and motorcycling. It is going to be a center for parties and events that happen throughout the industry. It takes a lot of paperwork and a lot of proof to become a not-for-profit 501c3. It takes a long time to get that status. It doesn't come easily. The International Motocross Museum has that, and they're going to be giving back in so many different ways to the community of North Chicago and neighboring cities as well. In many, many ways, not just with the most incredible collection of motorcycles in the world, but so much more in a social way and in the industry. As the industry reaches across the states with motorcycle shows and things like that, they'll also have a base and a home at the International Motocross Museum. So I'm looking forward to bringing you more news on that. I've been chewing my lip for about 2 weeks now when it came to this floor plan. There's other things I want to tell you too that involve some people who are going to be involved. Let me say that. I'm not going to say anything more, but a lot of things are happening. Okay, let's move on. Did you know? This is a segment brought to you every week by the one and only, him, Jeff Kokoski. Did you know? Did you know about titanium? I know, you just thought it was really expensive stuff that you tack on your bike, nuts and bolts, makes your bike 2 pounds lighter, and then you can ride faster than Bob Hanna and Jeremy McGrath put together. But there's more to it than just that. Titanium is a miracle metal. It's been used for the factory motocross teams to shave precious ounces off their machines in order to give them the edge over the competitors. During the golden years of motocross in the 1970s, only those factory teams with seemingly endless budgets could afford titanium. Nowadays, titanium bolts and aftermarket parts are available for virtually any race machine if you are willing to spend the money. But did you know how it came about? Surprisingly, titanium was discovered in 1791 in the valley in the Cromwell region of the southern tip of England. A 29-year-old mineralogist named William McGregor was analyzing minerals in a sample of black sand and discovered something he could not identify through chemical processes. He originally called it menacanite because of the local village in Menacan where he had found it. A few years later, in 1795, a German chemist named Martin Heinrich Klaproth verified the presence of an unknown element in an ore found in Hungary. Klaproth suggested that they name it titanium after the Titans of Greek mythology. Why did he choose that name? Because the new element was unrelated to anything chemically. He chose something scientifically insignificant like Titan. Eventually, it was determined that the menacanite and titanium were the same element, and the name titanium stuck. Unlike gold, silver, iron, or many other elements, titanium is difficult to remove from the ore, generally called rhyolite or ilmenite, that is locked in. It would take more than 100 more years before processes were developed that could efficiently remove the titanium. I have the wrong picture up here, but here, let's put something up more. Oh, Jeff, look how you did this. Anyway, I'm going back to this right now, okay? This procedure is called either the Hunter or Kroll process, requires multiple steps using crolline gas, molten magnesium at temperature of 1800 degrees Fahrenheit to extract to extract the titanium. Titanium can be alloyed with iron, aluminum, and vanadium, among with other elements. These resulting titanium alloys are strong, lightweight, and corrosion resistant. It is recognized for its high strength to weight ratio. Titanium is generally as strong as low-grade steel alloys, but weighs about half as much. Compared to aluminum, titanium is more than twice as strong, but only 60% as dense. By the start of the Cold War in the 1950s, 1960s, Soviet Union had pioneered the use of titanium in military submarine applications, sparking a big panic among the U.S. military and industrial complexes. Soon the U.S. military contractors were making, here it is again, they were making aircraft out of that titanium. The most famous of these was the Lockheed A-12, the precursor to the SR-71 Blackbird spy plane. Amazingly, titanium is the 9th most abundant element in the Earth's crust, but because of how expensive and energy intensive it is to process, to obtain pure titanium, it is only used for very specific applications that can justify the cost. Today, titanium metal is used in aerospace, chemical processing, and automotive industries, as well as the field of artificial hips, bone-setting plates, and other biological plants. Susie has some titanium in her back. She's got a couple of pieces.
Yeah, I do.
Anyway, maybe more outstanding is that only 5% of titanium ore mined is processed into titanium metal. The remaining 9% is used to manufacture titanium dioxide, which is used in much simpler and cheaper to process when compared to pure titanium steel or titanium metal. Titanium dioxide is a white powder. It's used to make white paint, printing inks, coated fabrics, ceramics, ceramic floor coverings, roof materials, toothpaste, soap, and is the active ingredient in sunscreen.
Oh, really?
Now you know. Jeff Kokoski knocking it out of the park again this week with a really, really interesting thing on titanium. And yeah, I have to admit, I was one of those people who definitely thought that the only thing it was used for was to make expensive parts for either, hot rods, or here we go with the motorcycle stuff. We'd heard of titanium throughout our years. In motocross, of course, during the golden era, it was used when factories had works bikes and they could spend unlimited amounts of money on those bikes. You see it today, but it's used in so many different ways. Now you know what titanium is
really
about.
expensive.
Oh, it's very, very expensive. Okay.
But it's very strong.
Do you have? We're gonna go to the replica motorcycle parts commercial.
Yeah.
But when we come back, will we have something on?
I have it now.
Yeah. What is it? Who won the Fender this week?
Kim Ketchum.
Kim Ketchum. Kim Ketchum, you are this week's winner of the Fender, the Mini Mutter from Preston Petty Products. It is available to you in silver and white, red and yellow. Send me your address. I'll send it to Paul Standard, and we will get you that Fender in whatever color you want. And you know something else? I didn't put it on the show tonight. Preston Petty would have been 84 years old today. Preston Petty. The legend continues at Preston Petty Products. Let's hear from ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Then we'll be back to wrap it up here at Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Hi, I'm Paul Parkinson with Replica Motorcycle Parts. I'm sitting here with our test bike, which is ridden by Jerry Maddox. It carries the #1 plate in the US. Let's go over a couple of the parts that we've got on here. We've got our ignition cover with the case saver built into it, so that when the chain comes off, you're not damaging your cases. Spacer, foot pegs. Jerry runs our air box. Seat brackets, keeps the seat on tight so he doesn't fall off when he's going over the whoops. And then this side, Jerry runs a couple little things, a lot of little rubber parts on the bike and stuff are all done by us. And then down here we've got our brake pedal, which has got needle bearings in there, and then it's got a wider toe peg so it gives them a real nice, clean, easy to use brake. And then this is our latest part. This is a CR250 type knuckle. In fact, Honda used them on the last versions of the MR175s, and this is a real trick aluminum Kickstarter arm. So that gives them lightweight, strength, and reliability more than anything else. Reliability.
Paul Parkinson Sr. and ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. I can't think of anybody, well, Vinco, Motion Pro, Preston Petty Products, and of course, ReplicaMotorcyclePark.com. Who does more for the vintage motocross community than those guys right there? And they're all sponsors of the show, and I'm so grateful for them. I want to say this. I talked to you a little bit last week about what's available from Paul Parkinson Sr. and ReplicaMotorcyclePark.com. We were talking about these Kickstarter knuckles for the 125s, also the shouldered bolts and the shouldered nut. That is for the CR125. Very, very difficult parts to find these days. But you see this? This is an air filter cage for a 74 CR125. It's an exact replica. Take it, put it right on the bike, and you're ready to go. Very difficult to find these anymore in original condition. If you do find one, you're going to pay $250, $300 for one. Many times they do not have this piece that goes across the back that helps the filter sit firmly in place. You can get it available every day at ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. What's this? You know what it is. The chain guide for 1973-74 Honda CR250, the exact replica of the one that came on the bike, painted black. Nobody but you and Jesus will ever know the difference that is a replica part from ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Thank you, Paul Steinert, Paul Parkinson Sr., for all you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. This week in motocross history is brought to you by Racer X, available on your newsstand and online right now. It's 1982. The first night, the Seattle Supercross doubleheader was a 1-2-3 finish for Team Honda's Donnie Hansen, Darrell Schultz, and Johnny O'Mara. Schultz would get back on the podium the next night, but he was once again second. Only this time, he was behind Mark Barnett. Donnie Hansen, what an incredible, incredible rider. 1983. On the night of the Seattle Kingdom doubleheader, Team Honda's Bob Hanna and David Bailey went 1-2 ahead of Kawasaki's Jeff Ward and Suzuki-backed Alan King. Finishing last in the main event after a huge crash was Honda's Danny Magoo Chandler. 1994, American motocrosser Talon Volin, riding for Betches Honda and living in Europe to compete in the FIM 250cc World Championship, won the Beaucaire International Motocross Circuit de Saint-Raymond in France. Stefan Everts made his debut on a Kawasaki after leaving Suzuki. He placed second ahead of Chesterfield Yamaha's Frederick Bowley. And if that name Talon Volin or the last name Volin sounds familiar to you, well, it would. You probably hear the name Volin quite often when you watch Supercross. Max Volin. That is Talon Volin's son. And that's something really interesting going on in motocross these days. What else is happening? Oh, we've got a race coming up here, March 9th, 2025. That's a Finger Lake Arma Northeast National and Regional. You can catch them online if you want to know more about that. And we mentioned something about the other race. I got to thank Fast Guy Stuff, Racer X, and Ben's Mini Bike Podcast. Great guys, share the show and do a lot for us. Also, the CZ race, the CZ World Championship is coming up April 25th, 26th, and 27th. That is in Marysville at MMX Motocross Park. Okay. More of that will be coming up. I'll be talking more about that as March rolls around, which is getting real, real close. Anyway, that wraps it up tonight for this week's episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't forget to keep sharing the show. Tell your friends to come and watch the show, guys. As I said, I've been doing this for 5 years now. We've got over 250 shows under our belt, another 75 interviews, and we're just going to keep on going. And as things grow out there in Chicago, you're going to see a show, and you're going to want to be a part of it, and a whole lot of other stuff that's going on. In the meantime, thank you, Susie.
You're welcome.
Gina! Oh, okay. That's it for me and Gino at Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll see you next time, and send me some questions for next week. I didn't have any Here's the Problem segments. Any Here's the Problem questions this week. All right? Send them in for next week. We'll get them on the show. And that's it for tonight, Gino, right? You love me, Gino? Gino? No? You love Rocco? Okay, go play with Rocco. We'll see you next time.